is Bandish from Chess Gaja. The 44th Chess Olympiad concluded very recently, and there were amazing games played across teams by players of all kinds, from young talents like Gukesh, fascinating the world, to world champions like Magnus Carlsen, thumping their authority further. Now I thought we'll take a look at some of the key players and some of the key tactics that they deployed during the Olympiad, starting with Gukesh D, who had a dream run of of 9 points of scoring 9 points out of 11, thus grabbing the gold for the first board in the Chess Olympiad. So today we'll be looking at five of his tactics in five different games of that he played in the 44th Chess Olympiad, and we'll try to figure out what sort of moves or what sort of tactics Gugesh went for that were pivotal for the game, or that were very unorthodox but still very well thought out, and they worked in the end. So yeah, let's begin. All right, so this is round four. Gukesh is playing the white pieces. His opponent is uh, Wokaturu Daniel. So this is move 11. And yes, so as you can see that the last move that Daniel played was um, bishop to f6, and here Gukesh can just go for the usual development, like develop his bishop either to um, e2 or to e3, or take it all the way to b5, and then just the idea is castling, and yeah, for just normal usual development stuff, right? However, Gukesh says that okay, I need some breaks in the center. However, his own king is in the center and has not guest castled, while Daniel's king is safely castled and rests on the g8 square. Gukesh decides that okay, no, I need some breaks in the center, so he here captures the pawn on d5. Although it is being defended twice, and it is attacked also twice, still Mukesh goes for the capture. Um, so here what Gukesh thought out was, you can you can capture it over here, the knight, but the loss of piece would be temporary. As such, there isn't much that can be done. Here's what did happen in the game. What You can pause the video for a moment and find the best move for white here and Gukesh. Um, yeah. But so what Gukesh did play was queen to b5. So what you're doing right now is you cannot move the bishop, obviously, otherwise the queen is not hanging, but like your rook will just take the queen. Gukesh's rook will take the queen, and that's not good for him. So, and there are no more supports that you can provide to this lone little bishop here. The knight cannot protect him, or neither can the rook come. So there is no real defense against. There is no defender that can be added for this pawn or for this bishop over here. So this is hanging. This is being attacked twice right now. Also, if you ever decide to move this somewhere else, the bishop, uh, queen captures on b7 is a real threat, because then you will have a pawn, and also um, yeah, the rook will be dying if the knight is not moved. So yeah, it's a nasty position for Daniel over here. So what he decides is, he's like, okay, I'm anyways losing the bishop, but no worries, because I already took Gukesh's knight earlier. So he just goes for bishop captures on b2, recovering the pawn, and now Gukesh can again capture this bishop, or capture this bishop over here, or he can just capture it with the rook, and if uh, yeah, if Daniel misses some moves, like after this move right over here, uh, the queen will be hanging, the pawn is always hanging, and the bishop is also hanging. So it's a nasty position for Daniel. So after bishop captures on b2, indeed Gukesh does play rook captures on d5, and yeah, so the one way that Daniel removes one of the hanging pieces by delivering a check, which Gukesh protects easily. And yes, so this way Daniel does manage to protect all the three pieces that are about to hang. However, the point to note is that when 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 Gukesh captures the pawn here, he grabs the center pawn. It seems as if it's a terrible sacrifice, but uh, Gukesh thought all that out well in advance, and he didn't care for castling because he moved his king ultimately. He didn't care for castling, so he's pretty sure that the end game is soon approaching and the king is better off in the center. But yes, so this is a great sacrifice by Gukesh D, um, which ultimately which seems like he's in trouble because he loses a piece, but ultimately positionally much stronger over here despite his king being in the center. Now let's move to round five of the 44th Chess Olympiad. Gukesh D was playing the chessing legend Shiro Alexei. Gukesh was playing with black pieces. Shiro Alexei was playing with white. Um, so as you can see on the board, there are four rooks, two knights, and a couple of pawns here and there. Gukesh has these doubled pawns on the center file, that's d file on d4 and d6, but that's not a concern for Gukesh. Here, after Shiro Alexei just after Gukesh checked Alexei with knight to b3 and Alexei got out of the check by from king to b1. Gukesh has a lot of play over here. Um, he can start marching the rooks out, or he can just start he can even do some damage with this rook, like just bring it over here and attack the pawn on e4. However, Gukesh goes for a very peculiar move. He goes for king to b6. He starts bringing his king forward in the game because the endgame is soon approaching. Uh, Kukish has a passed d pawn, so he would require the assistance of his king, who is the best defender for a pawn in the endgame. Uh, when all the pieces are exchanged ultimately. So yeah, now you might think that this pawn on g7 is hanging. The knight can capture it. Knight attacks it. The rook attacks it. So but only there is only one defender, so it can be captured. However, let's see what happens if Alexei did capture it. If Alexei did capture the pawn, Gukesh has a very simple move here, and that is rook to g8. Now this knight is attacked twice, and it's only defended once. Obviously, you cannot move the knight because if the knight moves, the rook is hanging on c2, and yeah, you don't want to lose a rook for free. So yeah, what you can do, what Alexei could have done is like rook to g1, doubling down on the g file and protecting the knight. But then simply Gukesh can play rook to c7, and now there are all kinds of nasty things coming. See, you can just choose to defend it with a simple f6, but that doesn't really work because now we just start marching the d pawn. Now you see there is no real defense to protect to stop this from marching right into the promotional square and letting it promote to a queen because this move is protected by the knight and the rook cannot really take it. And once let's say you play something like um, yeah, just for the sake of an example, just to show you what the pawn can do. Let's say Alexei played knight to f5. You can just simply march the pawn over here because the knight protects it. And after the pawn is already on d2 square, there is no real defense against the pawn. Um, yeah, maybe you do get material, a little bit material, but after this move, you can simply just check. The Gukesh can simply check Alexei, and yeah, after rook takes promotion queen, and this will be checkmate. So, so yes, you see, while it might seem that Gukesh is um, after this move to king, after this king move to b6, this pawn might be hanging. It's not really hanging, and Gukesh really has all sorts of plays here with his king coming into action. Ultimately, Gukesh does go on to win this game against Alexei. Let me show you the end position. Yeah, it was something like this. So the king that marched from here to here, it ultimately made its way uh, all the way to to the e2 square, because of the early march that Gukesh started. So yes, obviously, Gukesh won this round against Shiro Alexei, winning 5 out of 5 games so far. Moving on, this is round six. We are going in successive rounds because Gukesh has had been phenomenal till round nine, where he ultimately drew with Mamadiyarov. But so he was phenomenal with each passing game. So we'll just take one tactic from each game. Right. So Gukesh was playing with the black pieces. Queen's Gambit was played here. Gambit Decline was played here by Zagish and Gabriel. So after a few after uh, yeah, after D captures on E5 and knight captures on E5, now the engine suggests that the best move here is to just capture the knight on E5 with white's knight on F3. That's the best move that the engine suggests. That's the best move that most players play in this position because it's safe. That yeah, you capture, bishop captures, and the game continues. There's no real threat to anyone. There's no real white can just castle. White can even go for the long castle. So yeah, there are all kinds of options open. Then black will just bring out the bishop and all. However, Gukesh says, okay, no, I'm not going to play the conventional style that he knows that Sagas and Gabriel might just be prepared for. So what he does is, can you find the next best move, or the best move according to Gukesh in this position? It is actually what was played in the game by Gukesh. It is bishop to e2. What happens here is, yeah, obviously you can capture the knight, but then there's the option of capturing it back with the bishop, and yeah, you just don't want to initiate the exchanges. This is sort of a passive move to move your bishop back to a less active square as such, but Gukesh plays it nonetheless because he knows what Gabriel has to do now. Gabriel has to exchange the knights. Here, interestingly enough, Gukesh can obviously capture it back with the bishop. I mean, that's why the bishop was there in the first place on e2 to capture the knight in case it was ever captured by the knight on e5. However, knowing Gukesh, he really doesn't mind double pawns. In all the games that he played, he had double pawns at some or the other point of the game, and most of the times he could have avoided the double pawns. So, he, being true to his senses, Gukesh does not capture with the bishop. Instead, he goes for G captures on F3. This also ruins Gukesh's plans of castling on the king side because now, well, your king will be on the open file after the queen comes here. It's just obviously it's not a good position. What Gukesh aims to do is march his rook out on the semi-open G file and just launch direct assault on the king side and the castled king. Gukesh can always castle, long castle. Ultimately, that's what he does do in the very next move. But yeah, so where well, common sense would dictate that you take it with the bishop over here. Gukesh says no, I don't mind double pawns. I've never minded double pawns, and I'd much rather play aggressive chess and just attack the king side of the opponent with a semi-open file, than try to preserve my pawn structure, which ultimately I can deal with anyways. So yeah, this was one of the moves that goes against the common sense or goes against what any sensible player would do. But it's Gukesh, so well, what he does is sensible. Moving on to round seven, Gukesh D was playing Al- Albornoz Cabrera, Carlos Daniel from Cuba, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, yes. So it was Black's turn to play, Gukesh's turn to play here. The play a little bit of context. The players had been going back and forth. The king was moving all the way here, and this pawn was being attacked, re-attacked, defended. It was lots of things were happening. This pawn was basically the center of attention, center of the power struggle that was going on the board over here. But a few moves were passing, and like it seemed like a drawish position because well, there wasn't much to be done. Like this pawn was attacked thrice, it was defended thrice. As soon as an attacker removed, a defender removed. But yeah, here Gukesh finds the absolute beauty of a move, of a sacrifice, in the form of bishop to f4. Now it's a really big fix for white over here, because if the rook is moved, obviously you simply capture the pawn because there is one less defender now, and after the king moves, you can simply capture the gobble up the knight also, because it was also attacked by the bishop over here, and he was just too much materially down. White just resigns over here, right? Um, even even if you do capture, which seems to be the obvious option, um, capturing it with the pawn on g captures the pawn on f4 again, and the rook, you'd see that all these squares are controlled by these three pawns, so the rook cannot really hold this file, and he has to go back. So he can go back here, or he can just go back here. It doesn't matter where. You still get this piece, and after the king moves, you still get the knight anyways, because there is a battery on the file. So no position here is good for for Cabrera, and yeah, after this brilliant move, that is bishop to f4, Cabrera does go for g captures on f4, but he resigns immediately after this move, because he knows that there's not much to be done here. So brilliant sacrifice by Gukesh. Finally, on round 8, this is Gukesh D versus Fabiano Caruana, one of the most proficient and strongest chess players in the world, not just in US. And this is towards the end game. Yeah, Gukesh's king was being troubled a little bit by Caruana's queen and the knight. However, after king to h7 here, um, uh, Caruana goes for knight to e4, and here there are a lot of things that Gukesh can try. Maybe he can try attacking the black queen by, I don't know, offering an exchange or something over here. Offer an exchange after the exchange is done. Maybe attacking the yeah. There's not After the exchange is done, Gukesh is still better because well, he is materially down, but he has two pieces against one knight. So three pieces, in fact, against one knight. So Caruana was highly low on material. So yeah, there are a lot of things Gukesh can try. He's materially up. He doesn't really have to worry about any exchanges at all. Even if you even if he blunders a piece, he's still a piece up. So yeah, but here Gukesh goes for the absolute beauty of a move, a queen sacrifice, which is queen captures on e4. This is just simply brilliant move by Gukesh, because you can never really capture the queen. If rook captures the queen, then rook to a1 check. You see that the king cannot go anywhere because this square is guarded. These two squares are guarded by sorry, I'm sorry. This square is guarded by the bishop on h3. This black dark square is covered by the bishop on d6, and obviously um, this entire rank is covered by the rook. So there is nothing you can do. You simply give away both your pieces, and it will be a beautiful checkmate for Gukesh D to serve to Fabiano Caruana. Um, yeah, so if you don't capture it, which obviously you cannot, there isn't really a move you can play. If you just if you Yeah, you can just play some dormant moves like this, but then simply this is a good fork. You lose your queen, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing that white can do over here. And white does resign immediately after this move, because this is an absolute beauty of a queen sacrifice by Gukesh D. So yeah, those were five tactics by Gukesh that he employed in the 44th Chess Olympiad. I hope you guys understood the video and understood the tactics that Gukesh employed. Thank you very much for watching the video. This is it from my side. Bye bye.